The light pink area are big in some columns, which means that an important proportion of participants were aware of Swidget when presented to them, but did not think about using it by themselves. So our partial answer to the first two research questions was yes, they know about Swidget, but unevenly, and they use Swidget when they know them. With the fact that the Swidget are unevenly known in the previous study, I want to reach a larger population, and we want to know more in detail how users feel about Swidget and how they discover them. So we put an online questionnaire with more detailed questions. The protocol for this study also have three parts: general question, test section, and the question about Swidget. After the general question, we pass on the text section. My intention this time in the text sections is that we want to know exactly how participants know and feel about a certain Swidget. So for each task in each application, if the participant know about an application and the task, unlike the lab study, this time we show all the participants video of all the possible interaction techniques that are available to solve the task. Then we ask deeper questions for each Swidget on the discovery, the adoption, and the source of knowledge. At the end of the task, we ask participants to rank interaction technique according to their preferences. The third part of the online study is a statement evaluation to know how participants think of Swidget. It has been divided into 5 sections. In manipulation, we want to check if use of Swidget, if the use of swipe gesture in Swidget have positive or negative consequences on Swidget's pragmatic and hedonic attributes. In physical metaphor, we want to know if the direct manipulation metaphor is actually understood and used by the participant. In the transfer of knowledge, we want to know if our participant can transfer their knowledge of a Swidget to other applications. In mental models and the logic of Swidget, I question if participants can figure out a logic in their minds using Swidget. Thus, the association between the gesture and the common trigger seems logical to the users. In satisfaction of basic need, where questions are inspired by self-determination theory and target participants' feeling of competence and autonomy. 144 persons have participated for this online questionnaire. This time, participants are even more knowledgeable than those from the lab study. This is the preferred input method from the different tasks of this study. As you can see, the Swidget are clear favorites, such as flashlight and Wi-Fi, except for deleting mails and finding the exact same time in SMS. And this is the distribution frequency of usage concerning Swidgets. As you can see, there are 4 tasks of Swidget are the most valued in interaction technique: the flashlight, the Wi-Fi, the reveal notification, and reveal control panel. Usage of Swidget is low on mail and SMS application. We collect some feedback from our participants about the reason why. For message arrival times, it's simply because they don't know about this Swidget, confirming our thoughts on the discoverability issues. For the deleting mails, it's either because they use another application, such as Gmail, or because they prefer another workflow, such as reading the mail in the view of the mail in details, and deciding for each if it should be deleted directly from the mail view. Another interesting point is the purple color here, which stands for participants who report that they forgot about the Swidget. It remained quite low. It means that once participants knew about the Swidget, they were unlikely to forget it. Exploration of the interface on the online study was the most frequent reported source of knowledge for Swidget, which is 43%, followed by the accidental activation, which is 16%, both much higher than other SOKs. The final part of the questionnaire provide more clues about how switches support exploration of the interface. For example, most participants agree that when they discover a widget, they play with it to find all the possible ways to use it. They also expect similar screen layout to host similar widgets. On the other hand, participants were divided on the idea of having discovered a widget, they should expect it can be swiped in another direction to reveal other functions. We also investigate if, despite a widget's lack of visibility, there could be some kind of logic in their minds that can guide their use. Participants notice widgets follow a similar logic and understand this logic. They can use it to find widgets, but they can also notice when applications fail to follow this kind of logic. And this logic can get so strongly in their mind that they cannot think about another way to solve the task. So the answer to these 4 questions are: the online question confirmed the result from the first study. The participant mostly discovers widget by exploring the interface, and they can have a logic of applying widget or figure out where this widget may be. But they also find that this logic cannot apply to all the application in their lives. Now is the moment where I reflect on my research. The 2 studies have limitations that should be addressed in the future work, such as it focuses only on iOS, but I think other systems should be studied too. Participants are in a wide range of age, but it could hold for specific population in the future, such as teenagers or elders. Longitudinal studies should be conducted to validate what participants said in the online study, and it would also help to understand how user experience with widget evolves over time. The study were not designed to investigate how knowledge of some widget can be transferred from one application to another, but they provide hints that the question is complex. So in the dissertation, I discussed how the model of discovery that I proposed can be used to investigate the question further. The studies were not designed to provide strong evidence of benefit brought by having no signifier in the design of widgets. The online study suggests, however, that there are possible benefits in terms of coherence with other interfaces of the system, joyful manipulation, stimulation caused by discovery, and expression of mastery and autonomy. It allows to question whether the design of widget is the result of a focus on hedonic aspect of UX over pragmatic aspect. And I call for further future studies on the consequence of such an approach to and the development of tools to conduct such studies. Remember when I mentioned that there are spaces to improve the design inside the application when I talk about SOKs? I propose several transitional animations that hint users in different ways, such as flipping in the interface in a perspective movement or scaling in, sliding in. These can provide unintentional discovery to users when the application is launching. So this is the conclusion of my contribution, and thank you. I will now take your questions.
Thank you. So now we will.
Because Axel will know.
And now we will wait.
Yes.
Système nouvelle transparent.
Yes. And I will also connect my computer.
Okay. So the mic sound. So can you hear us? Can you speak so we can test?
Yes, we can. I can at least. I think I can too. Hello. Hello.
Bonjour.
Hello.
There is some reverb, but where?
I think.
Did you have your mic?
Yeah, maybe it was my mic because when you start with rendezvous,
get it?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
You did.
so can you hear the jury?
Laurent?
Yes.
Test, test.
So we
Can you
can
hear us?
hear you
Fine.
guys. Can you hear us?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Okay,
Great.
because
You have to speak loud, I guess, but
Yes.
I can hear you. Yeah.
We will.
All good for you, Chris?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Nadine?
I hear you. Do you
Okay.
hear me? But
Yes.
I can't put my camera. I have a problem with my camera on the inside. I try to
Well,
fix it.
that's okay. At least we can hear you, so that's good. Nicole, you can hear us?
Yes, so nice to hear you all.
Okay, great.
So, okay, the tradition is willing that we start among the people that made the written reports by the person who comes from the farthest, which doesn't mean in practice the person who made the more kilometers. So, Nadine, maybe it's your turn to
Okay.
ask a question.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you, Nicole, for your presentation.
Thank you for your report.
It's okay. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you very well.
Even if it's not easy, in fact, to follow two supports simultaneously. So perhaps I missed some words of your talk, and I apologize if I missed some words. Alors, first of all, I want to thank Stéphane, Nicolas, and Sylvain to invited me to report this thesis because I appreciate the originality